the one thing that scares me about the 49ers season, which is that you're looking at the NFC right now, and there is a vibe of what could go wrong. Honestly, especially for those of you who believe the 49ers have 18 good quarterbacks.
Or those of us who don't believe that the quarterback is that important in the Shanahan system.
Maybe
that's me.
Maybe that. Although I guess conversely, there are some who, if you've got 4 quarterbacks, it means you've got no quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And maybe that's true too. But even if the 49er quarterback play isn't elite, you still look up and down the NFC and have almost an impossible time thinking that the 49ers are not going to make the playoffs. And I hate that because as we sit here today, here's one thing that I know won't happen. It won't go. Let's see, who's the favorite in the NFC South? Who would it be? The Saints? Atlanta? Okay, whatever. Throw that division aside. But the rest.
Well, let's just say that the winner of that division has a losing record.
Okay, fine.
Because that's a strong possibility.
Forget that division, but let's go through the remaining divisions in the NFL.
The East. Philly, Dallas, with Dallas, New York, Washington.
Yeah, Philly with Dallas flanking them. NFC North, Detroit wins it. Minnesota probably gets in as a wild. NFC West, Niners win it. Seattle flanks them. AFC West, Chiefs win it. Chargers right behind it. We'll see about the Broncos. South, that's done. Jags win. You just talked about the North. Bengals have got it, but everyone's good.
And
same in the East. Everyone's good, but the Bills will win. Some people think the Jets. I can promise you it's not going to go that way because it doesn't. That's not how the NFL works.
You're saying if we pick the 8 division winners right now, we would not go 8 for 8?
Correct.
Well,
Correct.
I do think there are a couple of toss-ups for sure. You mentioned the AFC East. That, to me, is very much a toss-up. Between
I hear you.
The Jets and Buffalo, and Miami's not far off.
Miami's good. The Patriots are not. And
NFC South is a throw-up. It's not a toss-up. It's a throw-up.
You said the NFC,
NFC South is a throw-up.
Well,
First one to 8 wins.
We think so, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. Could one of those teams actually be good?
No.
See, I disagree.
You think who's going to win 10 games in that division? Atlanta would be the best candidate, but they've got no quarterback.
But you get 6 against each other.
Not if you go 3-3.
Well, but what if you go 6-0? What if the Saints are good? What if Derek Carr has a nice year and that defense is actually nice? What if
Dennis Allen and Derek Carr 2.0? It's going to work this time.
I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
What if Bryce Young comes out and he it hits? What if it's a hit?
It's possible.
Do you know what I mean? Like someone could win 10 games there.
I think it's highly unlikely.
10-7 is not like a dominant team. Somebody could win 10.
In the NFC North, Detroit being the favorite to me is amusing on a number of levels. And I'm not going to disparage Detroit because my old neighbor Cameron Davis is on the coaching staff, so I'm a secret Detroit fan.
But what do you not like about it? Like
too much hype.
Okay, hype, fine, but
and too much history. Hype and history.
I guess there's 2 kinds of hype. Hype can be based on glitz and glamour, right? Or hype could be based on, wow, like at the end of the second half of the year, that was a really good team.
Right.
Like Detroit did do it. It's not on paper, is what I'm saying, right? They didn't win the offseason. The second half of the year, that was a very good football team.
Good offense, certainly, and the defense was improved. But I think that when we talk about Detroit, a lot of people are hyper-focused on the head coach that we love who's biting kneecaps and Dan Campbell and, what a colorful personality. And, the plucky underdog story of Detroit. They're never good. The division is weak. A-Rod is gone. But Jared Goff is the quarterback. And I like Jared Goff. And I'm the one who turned his career around with a pep talk for the ages. And we know that. But it's not like they've got one of the real world beaters at quarterback. I just think that we're all getting caught up in Detroit Lions hype.
Maybe, but they did win 8 of their last 10 games last year.
Yeah.
They won 8 of their last 10 games and had some big boy wins in there. They lost to Buffalo, but they blew Jacksonville off the field. They won at Lambeau. Remember knocking the Packers out there in that very last week. They won at New York against the Jets. Against that defense.
Wow, against the Jets. What was that score of that game? 9-7?
20-17.
Okay.
They grind out a 20 on Sauce. They beat Sauce Gardner and the Jets.
I'd have to look at that game more closely because the Jets' offense was awful last year.
They beat Minnesota by double digits down the stretch, and I know Minnesota might have been a paper tiger, but it was still a tiger.
Yeah.
Good football team.
Declawed kitty cat.
Yeah. They're good. It's a good football team.
Okay. I mean, I think that what your point was is a good one in terms of what we think will happen probably won't happen. And that's where I'm kind of focused on Detroit in that same way.
I hear you. I mean, look, there are overachievers you don't see coming. There are underachievers who got overhyped. And then there's also the journey. Like, who has the bad luck? Who loses the QB who you thought was going to be good? That kind of stuff. So, I don't know. It's always different than you think it's going to be. Let's go to Rolando in Napa here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Rolando, what are you doing?
Just relaxing here on my off day from work and just love listening to you guys. So I'm ready for football. So
who's
I
not,
want my Niners this year.
Yeah, what do you think?
So, if we're gonna win the NFC this year, I'm a very superstitious person. So this will be our, like I say, third time's a charm. So if we actually do win the NFC this year and we got to go Super Bowl, I think the football gods owe us, and third time's the charm for the Niners. So we are so overdue for this. So we better burn some sage, have a rabbit's foot, 4-leaf clover, because we're due. So, and you guys are talking about other teams. I got a prediction for you guys this year. So I want to ask you guys this question. So the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Packers, which one of those teams will and will not make the playoffs? And I have my choice. I think two of those will not. And I'll say my crazy guesses. I think the Packers will make the playoffs. I want to hear what you guys think.
You think they will or they won't?
Yes, I think they will. I think the Dolphins are not going to make the playoffs, and the Jets
I have a hard time feeling that the Dolphins and the Jets are both going to fall. I'm pretty high on the Jets. I know that there's the Aaron Rodgers hype train. For me, it's less about that, and it's more about their defense. It might be the best in the NFL. It's right there with the 49ers, the Cowboys, the Jets. Like those, to me, those are the best defenses in the NFL that keeps you in every game. And now you at least have the threat of something dynamic on offense. I think that's going to be good enough to win a lot of football games. I think the Jets are a playoff team. The Dolphins, I'm not sure, even though I really like McDaniel. Packers, I would say, unlikely.
Packers out. Jets and Dolphins for me are in. I love McDaniel. That offense is going to be very explosive. And also, one thing we all need to look at is the turnover differential and the regression to the mean for all these teams. The 49ers last year were number one in the NFL with a plus 13 differential. That's likely going to revert back to, toward the middle. It tends to not be the case where teams are dominant year after year. Things bounce your way one year, they don't go your way the next, and the Packers and Dolphins both were, or the Dolphins and Jets last year were both -7.
Wow.
In the differential.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, sometimes it is balls just bouncing a certain way. Also, though, you have to give credit to your quarterback for throwing fewer picks than the other team. And the Jets should be better at that this year. The Dolphins had all kinds of quarterback problems with all of Tua's concussions, so there was a lot of in and out there. And part of the 49ers being good at it last year was the stabilizing. Brock came in and didn't throw a lot of picks.
And the taking away of the football.
Sure.
They had 9 picks the year before. Last year they had 20 picks. So
it's a lot.
The takeaways went way up for the Niners. The giveaways stayed about the same.